Hello and welcome. This is the chapter summary video for chapters 18 and 19 in the legal environment of business. Chapter 18 dealt with administrative agencies. There are two types of administrative laws. The first type is procedural rule, and the second type is substantive rule. An administrative agency is any body that is created by the legislative branch to carry out specific duties. There are two types of agencies. They are independent and executive. Under the independent, a couple of the best well-knowns are the Federal Trade Commission and the Equal Employment Opportunities Commission. Under executive, some of the best well-knowns are the Department of Homeland Security, Veterans Administration, and NASA, and the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation. Within each agency, they have the powers of the legislative, executive, and judicial branches, similar to our government, but only within that specific agency. And with that power comes the catch that the different branches of government can review what the agency is doing with those specific powers and make changes to it. Chapter 19 was over the employment relationship and immigration laws. When talking about the employment relationship, one thing that is bound to come up is wages and hours. For someone to be considered working full-time, it is indicated that they would be working 40 hours a week. If an employee is working more than 40 hours a week, the time they spend over those initial 40 hours should be paid as time and a half. So the employer would take what the employee normally makes in that hour, then times it by 0.5. In 1935, the Federal Unemployment Tax Act was passed. Why was this act passed then? Well, in 1935, it was the middle of the Great Depression, when the majority of the country was out of work. It is up to each individual state to determine the eligibility requirements. One recent reason why this law is so important is that General Motors was just on strike. My boyfriend works for a factory that supplies parts to General Motors. He was not on strike, but he also temporarily didn't have a job, because why would General Motors need parts if they weren't making any products? The unemployment was not much for him, but it was his only income for those 6 weeks that General Motors was on strike. Along with the Unemployment Act, there are the Workers' Compensation laws and the Family and Medical Leave Act. This has been a chapter review for chapters 18 and 19 of the legal environment of business.